should we not be asking questions where the Auditor General has reached a conclusion?
Chairperson, my issue of saying can the committee then look at issues in good faith? It's based on when we are at these committees, sometimes it looks like personal attacks.
No, we are in this committee. And one of the things that I am always careful to repeat here, and I think I said so earlier, is that we are looking at systemic problems here. I said so.
Chairperson.
So when you say these committees, let's talk about this one. This one, you were asked a question about this inquiry, and you raised a question of good faith in this inquiry, in this process, and I listened very carefully. So we need to resolve it. What is your anxiety specifically? Have you been personally attacked? You, today?
Chairperson, please allow me to answer, because then when you interject me, then my thought process goes away.
I will not, but when you say these committees, I'm like...
This committee.
Okay, good. So this committee, yes, today, because you were asked by Honorable Blosse here that you've been sitting here all day today. That's what he said. I remember
you are interrupting me again. Please
No, I'm explaining why it's important that you stick to the question asked. I'm saying Honorable Blosse said, you have been here today, you've been observing today. You raise an issue of good faith on today's proceedings. I don't want you to say these committees. I want you to say today, because that's what the question was. You raised a question of good faith. So I just want to know today, what specifically gave you the impression that we are not acting in good faith?
Chairperson, I don't know if Honorable Blosse was asking me around today or my impression of the inquiry as a whole.
Okay, I'll allow you to talk about the inquiry as a whole, but you were not here. And one of the things I try and I insisted at the beginning, if a monkey is not yours, don't fetch it. You are here today. You are here today.
Yeah.
He asked you a question about today. And your specific answer was, when the Auditor General says we've performed at 80-something%, where is this head answering that question? So I just want us to clear this up. What about the Auditor General's outcomes says this committee should not ask further questions? If it does, it's engaging in bad faith.
Chairperson, I feel that you want me to answer in a specific way, because when I try to answer, you interrupt. So
okay, please answer, Ms. Khumalo.
Can I just not?
Yes, please do. No, it's not fine.
Because I tried 3 times to say, please don't interrupt me. Can I? Because then my thought process and my flow gets disturbed. But then you keep on doing it, Chair, and then you go to specific things to say I must then talk about them, while I was doing it holistically. So, Chairperson, with all due respect, can I just not?
No, you have to answer questions here. So let's start again. I said to you, I have an anxiety that when you say that the Auditor General has rated you 86% on your objectives, where are these governance failures that we are talking about here? And you said that in the context of good faith and bad faith. I am then saying to you, and I gave you examples of some of the things we've discussed here, about legal costs per claim, about invoicing, externalizing R1 billion, etc., etc. You are having an anxiety about good faith. I need to understand what has occurred today that gives you that anxiety. Alternately, is it your belief that if the Auditor General has given an plus 80% rating, then this committee must not ask further questions because the Auditor General has already concluded? I will sit and listen.
Chairperson, around my issue around good faith is because today there seems to have been a narrative that wants to be taken that as executives, we don't know what's happening at the RAF. There was a narrative around my qualifications. And I think for the whole of today, I've been answering issues around the head legal and my qualifications, and whether if there was no head legal, then that's why there's this mess. There were comments made by members to say, this EXCO seems like it does not know anything. Why is it here? Because everything they said, they were not there. But yet we were answering questions. And that's why I'm saying, can we then engage in good faith to try and resolve the issues of RAF? And I had also said that I know there are issues at RAF that needs to be taken care of. And this committee has all the rights to have this inquiry, which we welcome, so that it can help us as the RAF towards sustainability.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that those members who are asking you those questions, in your opinion, are engaging in bad faith questions. Okay, let's leave it. But I just want to advise that we must watch our words when we speak, because we do ask then the follow-up questions in this way. Honorable Member.
No, thank you, Chair. I just want to start here, Chair. I think I cautioned about this the other day, and I was going to say the benefit of my colleague, Honorable Bloss, is that he's sitting at transport. He can ask at length because he's got both background and information. And many of the things that we are asking are not necessarily for us, but for clarity and for everything. But at the same time, if we are going to witch hunt, character assassinate, and be bold about that on people that we want to appear before us, we're going to create a problem. I wonder about how we manage our own language in this inquiry. And I'm not going to say if ever Ms. Khumalo feels the way she feels, she's wrong. There was a day I even said myself, if I were to be one of the officials to come here, I would think twice, having heard in during this inquiry, during a question time and during our deliberations, the language, we ask them of predetermined results of certain things, yet we ourselves have predetermined the results of this same inquiry, and that's wrong. It shouldn't be. I just wanted to say that, because today, again, it comes here and then we get shocked. We shouldn't be. Now, what I wanted to ask, firstly, to Mr. Letsoalo. Mr. Letsoalo, on the categories I asked earlier on, did you also have a category where you considered how many people have died waiting for their money and not being loaded? And in that, did you have such cases of people who passed on waiting for their monies to be loaded, but their monies were not even loaded?
I don't have a specific response to that, but I know that people pass on, and I think it could have happened. I am not sure. I think it could have happened.
Oh, thank you. We'll wait for the full report on that. I think Mr. Niko's name came once in this committee, especially where people are charged and who assist in terms of looking into that. However, I will not draw you in because my time is very limited. However, please also prepare a report if you can in these categories, because it's very interesting. Last thing, as much as you say on the finalization of these cases, you were no longer there. Maybe Mr. Manyasha or Miss Khumalo, Miss Manyasha, sorry, darling, or Miss Khumalo would assist us. Was there a replacement of the people that were dismissed for failing to load claims?
Thank you, Honorable Mente. The regional managers did make plans to replace some, not all. So they did hire some people on contract basis, but they have not really fully capacitated and replaced those people. So there is a struggle in the region for capacity.
Is there a plan in place to make sure that we operate maximally and in full capacity?
Yes, the last time we engaged with the Chief Claims Officer, the current Chief Claims Officer, even before the previous board was dismissed, we had requested the claims divisions to go and look at the capacity that they require and make presentation to EXCO so that we can approve the capacitation of the claims division. So there is a plan. Currently, I'm not sure if the current board has already approved it.
We're coming together nicely. So that plan is to reconcile the pre-existing conditions and the existing conditions around the backlog and the claims of people not being processed. Is that the case?
It is both, to deal with the backlog and to deal with the new claims as they come in.
When the management was here, they said they had started an operation, you gave it a name, where they are calling people now to establish their whereabouts for everything that is a claim there, whether more than the prescription timeline or whatsoever, to establish if they are sitting with valid or not valid claims. Do you know about that, and how far are we?
Yes, Honorable Mente, that is the backlog campaign that we are running through our contact center that was established. So the contact center agents are looking at the database that we have at the Road Accident Fund, and they are calling the last numbers that were registered on the system. They are calling those claimants to request them to forward the outstanding documents. So they inform them of what document is outstanding, not only individual direct claimants, but they're also calling law firms, because there is a lot of law firms also that have claims on the system, but with missing documents. So I don't have the details, but I think over 60% of that database, they've already called them, and the response is not that good in that aspect also. We're not really getting the documents that we require.
Now, what is the turnaround time where you get people and they respond to you in terms of finalization? Let me also give you an example. After that particular information being shared with us, we ran also a campaign to say, if you have a claim at RAF and you are not assisted, please come forward. I think we have now sent 3 batches to RAF. But on those 3 batches, over a month, we have only received 1 feedback. 1 person was responded to. And we have sent 3 batches of more than 30 people. I'm asking now, what becomes a turnaround time frame for you to investigate and respond to people?
Honorable Mente, unfortunately, I do not have that detail of the turnaround time, but I can check with the team if I'm allowed to request that information for you.
But
Yeah.
maybe I'm member through Chair. In terms of the Act, we're supposed to look at that claim within 60 days. That's why if we don't, then it will be valid in all respects. But I guess yours, it's a different one to say there are claims already. You want, it's a query.
It's claims that have been there, and 70% of them, they are before 2016. 70% of them, what I identify, they were before your time. But we can't get responses. We're not getting responses. So my difficulty then becomes, let's not say things that we don't do. We come here, we say we're looking for people. Then people respond. They reach out to you. We reach out to you with every detail, link numbers where possible, ID numbers, everything. But there's no response. Now, what becomes a difficulty? Exactly. Let's not be cosmetic about helping. Let's help. That's why I'm asking, what then becomes your turnaround when a person says, here I am. I'm Veronica Mende. Here's my ID number. Here's my link number. I submitted my claim 2016. I had lawyers and everything. There was a determination of my payout and everything. But since then, nothing happened. So that's what I'm asking.
I think that's, yeah. Through Chair, we would then have to respond back with Rodney Mkabela is the project manager for the call center. I know there are business processes in terms of when people call, what happens to the call, and after how long should you then respond to them. We'll be able to take it up. Well, we can't, I guess the committee will be able to take it up with them.
You can share the details of whoever we can speak with, because at this point I am confused. We say this, but in practice it's not what we tell the people, and that is part of the things that are wrong at RAF. The second thing is that I'm glad that you acknowledge there's a problem, and there's a big problem, and it's not of your own making. You found it there. Now, as a special project person that have found these problems in the system, and you got rid of many activities that were taking place, and some of the activities were just taking money, people billing, and then had mastered their way around the system to make sure they stay and they milk and then they get money as much as possible. Some of them, my colleague listed them: lawyers, medical aid, hospitals, everything. You got rid of that. Great, well done. Now, in doing that, there is always this fallback of an argument. The law dictates the following: that lawyers must be here, this must be there, this must be there. If the lawyers must be insourced or outsourced is another argument. As a special project, which I think your first project was to look into this law, because the enabler of this environment is this law, which was designed to make sure that the environment benefits the few, but unfortunately we all went to school and then now we're all benefiting, and then it becomes a problem. I want to understand what became your special project in changing the legislation, and if you can identify the areas that you targeted and make sure that you change them so that the legislation now is suitable for an environment which will be friendly for the claimants and friendly for government.
The legislative changes were discussed between the executive and the board, and that falls under Ms. Khumalo's purview. So I know that there are specific areas that were targeted. If I can just give over to her to explain the specific areas.
Thanks, honourable member. I think I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, because what I will be talking about will be the proposals that you had done with regards to the RAF amendment bill. But as you would know, that the minister has withdrawn it, and they are now introducing RAPs. So with regard to RAPs, I'm not too au fait with that. They've just recently had workshops with the RAF management in terms of saying what they want to introduce on the RAPs bill. So I can't therefore then talk about the RAF Amendment Act proposals, because it has been withdrawn. Thank you.
That's where I was going. That you are aware of the contents of RAPs, because RAPs and what was there before, which was withdrawn, are two different things. So in your workshop, what is it which is in alignment with the mission you were driving in RAF in terms of making sure that it's a friendly RAF for everyone? Is there any of the things you propose that are in line with what is in RAPs?
Honourable member, unfortunately I was not at the workshop, but I don't know if I'm putting Nico on the spot to be able to respond to it. If not, then we can be able to put that in writing.
Oh, by all means, Nico, come in.
Honorable Chair, maybe before Nico comes through, because I was at the workshop, I attended the workshop at the Department of Transport, I think about 2-3 weeks ago. One of the things that the Deputy Minister said was that we need to identify things in the RAF Amendment Bill that should be incorporated into the RAPS Bill. And that is not a problem. I think the legal team is looking into that, and the legal team of the Department of Transport, to say if there's something in the RAF Amendment Bill that we feel should be, for example, I think the payment in annuities and other things, but maybe Nico can add into that.
Yes, please, Nico, come in.
Good evening, Chair. So I think that's still a work in progress. I mean, I already started looking at it in terms of a task team that had been requested by the Deputy Minister to say that the Department of Transport and us from the Road Accident Fund should form a task team and look at that. We're still in that process. So I don't think it's anything I can speak to currently.
We're in injury time, but ask if you...
So that's where our problem is. And unfortunately, again, Tina scope as but the transport people will have to assist us, because our main problem in RAPS is the legislation that enables an environment which gives people access to the purse through the law. And then that's why you sit here and painfully say it's a very highly litigious place and whatnot, because people want to fall back onto, I am allowed to be here. Allow me to be here because I have experience here, I know what's happening here, even if the person takes more money than necessary, but they know they have the muscle and everything financially to go to court, and then you have to wrestle all of these things at court. If we can fast track, and I know your status, but we just need to fast track that. That will take all of our pain away. The last thing I wanted to check, there's a lady, I forgot her name, who said here, as learned as she was, she wouldn't be able to complete RAF 1. It's very complicated. It doesn't serve the purpose. It's very difficult. She feels for the person in Mutu, that how on earth will they ever be able to complete that form? Give us a picture of this thing, because what we understand is that it asks people to bring information so that once it's logged into the system, it goes to the determination of the cost, then it goes to the loading of the payment if we all agree, and we don't need anyone else to be here. What's difficult in this form? Take us through, and what is it that it addresses, and that a person ongafundanga, ongazinto, ongazanga esikolweni will not be able to even go past the first 2 lines. Take us through, please.
I would have to go and open the RAF 1 form, but I think the point is currently how one is supposed to lodge a claim in RAF requires a lawyer. I might be able to fill in the form, but I know that there'll be delays and I would need to issue summons. That requires a lawyer. Then there are issues around getting all those medical reports that has to be undertaken. But as it is, the RAF form itself, it's pretty straightforward in terms of what is required. I guess the challenges will be around then having actuarial reports, having medical legal reports, etc., that even myself, I would need assistance with.
Now, this is where the chairperson was going. Because we can't design an environment which is going to require mna ndizilimalela ndingapha eQwaqwa and then get into an accident, and when I have to go to the nearest RAF office, I need a lawyer that I don't even know where I'm going to find. That he must go here and there and there and there. Why are we designing an environment that is difficult for our people? Because the mandate is to make sure our people are comfortable. But now we're designing an environment that makes the mandate much more difficult for you and for the person who's supposed to benefit. How do we ease this burden?
Sorry, through you, Chair. Is there a change in legislation? As I said earlier, that we had proposed numerous changes to the RAF Act. And I think those are the ones that, as my other colleagues have said, that there's a task team between RAF and DOT. They will then need to convince DOT that we really need to put in the elements that were not there, that are not there in RAPs, that are there in RAF, and be able to substantiate why. We totally agree with you, because we are also saying it should be easy for a walk-in to come and we assist them with filling the form. But unfortunately, we've got the law, and the lawyers, by the way, are the first ones that are going to come after us to say, you are not doing what the RAF Act says you must do. Because as I've stated earlier, to say that we had 30,000 comments around the RAF Amendment Bill. Then comes the RAPS Bill. There's court cases against the RAF Bill by the very same law firms. And when you ask why, they say, no, what would you prefer? They say, no, we want the current RAF Act as it is, because they know it's to their advantage.
Honorable Member, in extra time. Okay, so can we, just on this, because where Honorable Member left off. So for me, the form is not so much the issue, okay? It's the requirements, the documents that you need to attach, and how much they cost, and the probability of being able to access those medical experts in order to provide. Can you explain to the committee what I think it's called MMI, maximum medical something? Help me there.
Improvement, Chair.
Maximum medical improvement, right? Ms. Khumalo, can you explain to us what that is?
Chairperson, I'm not in the medical space. That's why I didn't even want to finish the MMI, what it stands for.
Okay, so that's fine.
I'm trading into a space.
So this is how it was explained to us, that you might get injured, break a leg in 3 places, but we don't actually know how much of usage of that leg you will retain, right? You will regain at some point. So you have to wait until such time that the doctors are like, this is full recovery, it's never gonna get better, right? And it was explained to us by Tsepo that what that means is that now we can move on to the next stage of loss of future earnings and these kind of things, because we now know that you can't go and play for Kaizer Chiefs again, right? Although it might not make a difference given how we are playing right now. But the point is, and I won't belabor the point any further, and I'll just come to the judgments, because I think it's also important that we talk about that, which is an ordinary person has got to work out all of this on their own so that they can lodge the documents. And I end as a comment. I think that's placing an unnecessary obstacle and creating a market for lawyers, in my view. And it's just a comment. Yeah, it's creating a market for, especially the well-to-do lawyers who can afford to pay for these things. They've got deep pockets, right? So that's the thing. I just want us to clarify something. So there are two judgments. There are lots on this new way of lodging. Let me put it like that, because there is the rough one. There's the board notice, and then there is also the minister's regulations, right? So there was LPIIF 1, and that is when it was set aside. So then there was the second, the application for leave to appeal. And I just want you to explain to the members here the difference, right? So the court says in paragraphs, I'll read it because I don't think you have it to hand, so I will read it for you. In the course of hearing the application for leave to appeal, it was drawn to our attention that the applicants for leave had been making use of their application for leave to appeal, right, to avoid giving effect to the interim remedial regime ordered by us. Can we first talk about the remedial regime? What did the Gauteng High Court say must be remediated in terms of the rough one form? Well, how did they instruct you? Can you remember at a high level?
And that's why I wanted my senior manager of corporate litigation to come here, because when you get into the merits of the case, I would not be able to engage with you or go step by step with you, as you say, on those.
I also did commercial law 1 and labor relations 1. That's it. Okay, so this is really just from your and I honestly, I'm not gonna get into that conversation. I think we had it last time. That was enough. I'm not gonna get into that conversation. I am accepting that you are not a lawyer. Nonetheless, you have the statutory responsibility of the role, right? Because you are chief governance officer, and one of the areas underneath you is the legal function. I therefore expect you to understand the essence of a judgment, particularly the order itself in terms of what the organization needs to do, right? That's all. I'm at that level. So I'm not getting into the nitty-gritties. I'm just asking, what did the court instruct the RAF to do? Can you recall? I would hope you do.
I don't know if you are... Sorry, Chair.
No, if you don't recall, it's okay. I mean, I won't hang you.
I guess the judgment is there. Do you have the? I guess you have.
Yeah, so let me summarize it. Yeah. So basically, the court said, "Look, this is a complex situation. You've got people who had lodged in terms of the old form. Basically, the people who have lodged successfully in terms of the new form. So their forms are in the system. We've now set it aside, right? So you need to tell us how you're going to deal with these folks. 1, 2. There are the people who were rejected." Because the claim doesn't even register, as we were told, if not all the documentation is there. So then the court said, you need to find those people and tell them to, they must lodge in terms of this order. That's what the court said at the high level. Okay, now we are on the same page. So here's the thing. So the RAF continues, and this goes to continued litigation on whether it is properly founded, given the expense of doing so. And I just want your opinion, your understanding of what the judgment says. So then the RAF applies for leave to appeal, and the leave to appeal is granted. However, the court in paragraph 16, so I'm going to read it because you don't have it, and I'll try and be slow so that I don't slur. In the course of hearing the application for leave to appeal, it was drawn to our attention that the applicants, i.e. the RAF, for leave had been making use of the application to avoid giving effect to the interim remedial regime ordered by us, what you and I have just spoken about. We expressed considerable concern as to this course of conduct. While the applicants for leave are entitled to seek leave to appeal in respect of those orders made by us that they contested in the main application, it is not clear how they can frame an application for leave to encompass the exercise by the minister of her powers to issue the RAF 1 form and use such application to rely upon suspension to avoid the remedial regime ordered by us as it relates to RAF 1 form and its consequence for the administration of claims that fall within the authority of the RAF. While we make no findings at all on this matter, we have nevertheless ordered the CEO of the RAF to file an affidavit explaining the fund's failure to implement the interim regime ordered by this court. Council undertook to prevail on the RAF to file this affidavit on or before the 16th of August 2024. So what the court is saying, and in the Banyane judgment, the court in Bloemfontein also repeated the same point, and I've got it in front of me and I can read it. Basically, it says you are using the grounds of appeal do not impugn the order that we've given. So you are using an excuse which does not apply. So even if you're not challenging the aspect of the court's order that remediates for the claimants, right? That's what the court is saying here. And that's why Elia said we need to slow walk this, because that's how I understand this judgment. Do you have a different reading of it? To say that the court for leave to appeal and the Bloemfontein High Court were both mistaken in their reading of the original order in LPWIF 1. I'm asking because, sorry, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I'm asking because you said earlier that because you've appealed, you therefore staying everything, right? But this judgment suggests differently. So I just need us to reconcile that between us.
Chairperson, from our attorney on record on this matter, when we discussed the issue and we went for appeal, is that in terms of the rules of court 18.1, when you appeal, then the judgment would then be held in abeyance pending appeal.
I get you. I agree. The court is simply saying what you are appealing is not the same as what the court has ordered. You understand? That's what the court is saying. So I would assume, the judges know what you're saying, so that's not an issue.
So, Chair, are you then referring to the issue around the questioning of the your admin decision?
Yes. So
because then in terms of the advice that we had then received, it talked about the Odekral principle, that then an admin decision stands until reviewed and set aside by the appeal that has suspended the review. So the 271 still stands until SCA.
Okay. Was that opinion? Because I'm not sure we're gonna resolve this, because I honestly hear you. All the court is saying is that the appeal is appealing remember, the minister did not give an opportunity for public comment. You remember? Did not give an opportunity for public comment. The court took issue with that. And one of the substantive matters was that you can't amend legislation through administrative action. The minister then fails to defend her action. It was Minister Chigunga at the time. She fails to defend her own action and she says she will abide That's what is under appeal, right? So the court says, you are not the minister. We're given an order in terms of RAF 1 Form 2. You go and you do RAF 1 Form. The appeal will deal with the minister. But look, if you disagree on this, it's fine. But I just want you to know that one of the things we'll then have to apply ourselves to here with advice is whether the court is correct in its interpretation of the fact that what you are claiming is the grounds of appeal does not impugn that part of the judgment that orders you to find claimants that have been denied. But we can, we don't have to have an extended legal argument. I'll give you one final chance to comment and we can move on to other things so that we can release you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, on the issue around the minister and the RAF Form 1 that he issued in terms of Regulation 7, we then, because I remember then they gave us leave to appeal for the board notice and said not for the regulation because it's the minister. We then petitioned the SCA for leave to appeal for both to say because they go hand in hand. We can't separate the two. And the application was granted on the 1st of November 2024. So the two appeals has therefore been consolidated and are before the SCA.
Okay, no, thank you for the clarification. Okay, Mr. Bowman, can you give, I want to deal with something that Honorable Blose is really passionate about and we can deal with it properly just now. Can you have a look? It is, no, you haven't done anything wrong. So there is this spreadsheet. Can you see this document? The members have it. I've dealt with it before. That is what the attorneys, you know those big amounts with Hartnell Incorporated, DiBrolio, France Gitte, you know that issue there. Yeah, that's where I'm going. So just look at the one page. You can pick the one that has got Hartnell Incorporated, DiBrolio, France Gitte, Matthews Posa, White R. Yeah, it's White River, I suppose that R is. Okay, so I just want us to walk through some definitions. So at the top there it says plaintiff attorneys legal and other costs including disbursements. Can you see that? Including disbursements, interest, sheriff and writ costs paid to attorneys, etc., etc. Can you see that at the top? And then in red, the totals below include all plaintiff attorney legal and including disbursements, interest, sheriff and regulators. Contingency fee cannot be reported as it is done by the attorney. You see that? Can you see that? Right. And then it says party and punitive costs would be part of the total legal and other cost bills of the attorney firms, which also include disbursements. Okay. I just want us to work with definitions at the moment. That's all we're gonna do, and then we're gonna just pick out some examples, and then we're gonna move on. So, what are disbursements in your understanding?
Isn't it, and Brett, please help me, isn't it costs of photocopies?
No. I asked him these questions. I need your answer.
Chair, I would have to go back and look.
Okay, so you don't know what
Yeah.
it means. Interest?
Is the interest charged?
When do they charge interest?
When we have gone through over the 180 day to make payment or over the court order to say you need to pay, if the court order says you need to pay within 14 days, so day 15 then interest will start accumulating.
Can you recall the rate at which that is? That's court mandate. It's determined by the court.
Isn't it the Minister of...
Yeah, anyway,
Finance,
there's some rate, standard
There's a
rate.
rate,
Okay, now
yes.
let's accelerate. That's nothing turns on it. Sheriff costs? What is that?
It's the cost where when sheriffs come through to issue writs.
Okay. And the writ cost paid to attorneys, excluding sheriff. Can you see that? So the writ costs, what is the writ cost?
Writ costs paid to attorneys. So I know sheriff and writ cost, isn't it the same thing? Isn't it one? Because I know what happens is when the sheriff comes, for each claim that they they bring a writ to the RAF, they charge.
So there they say writ costs paid to attorneys, then in brackets excluding sheriff. Can you see that? Because they've listed sheriff separately. It's okay if you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the other one.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, because I did not want to rely on Mr. Mvundlela's version. I needed to ask you as the executive accountant, because I'm also concerned with how much these law firms are getting, right? I'm also concerned. I mean, if you look at, for instance, between total over the 5-year period, between Hartnell Incorporated and Debrolio, there's 1.5 billion between them over a 5-year period, right? It's serious money. But I need to understand that these are all legal expenses, right? And disbursements are the costs of the attorneys, right? The cost of pursuing the whole thing, including those photocopies, and then it's also what they pay counsel, etc., etc. So that falls under disbursements, right? And punitive costs are, according here to the definition, the punitive costs are there. In what instances do the courts levy punitive costs, generally speaking?
When we have lost cases.
No, those are party and party costs, punitive.
When we have lost cases, then they will say then the cost will be punitive cost against the RAF.
Okay, let me assist you. So you get your ordinary cost. So when one party has lost the case, I mean, sometimes the court will say no party is to pay costs, but in a lot of cases they will say the one party must pay costs. So those are the party and party costs. Punitive costs is when the court expresses a displeasure, such as when you know when you don't have those state attorneys, you don't have enough of them, and they can't show up in court and they don't have instructions. You remember when we were speaking about that? That's when punitive costs arise, right?
Yeah, because they believe that we did not have a case.
Right. So no, hang on, because I believe that you didn't.
If the court or the judge believes that the RAF should not have taken this.
Yeah, you wasted
me.
the court's time. It's spurious litigation and so on, right? Which also is why that question keeps coming up, and I'm not impugning you. I am accepting the RAF structure. The issue that we've taken issue with is the fact that there is no head of legal, and that question that Honorable Madlala was asking about who coordinates the RAF's positions in court and what you're going to say, that kind of thing, all of that results in punitive costs, right? Because somebody rocks up there without instructions and, right? And the courts then get upset and they award punitive costs. Interest is when you are supposed to have paid. There is a court order that you must pay. They wait 30 days. From day 31, they start counting. The clock starts counting until such time that it is equal to the capital amount, which is double effectively, right? What I'm trying to say here is that if the RAF was doing its job, it had enough lawyers, at least close to enough lawyers. It was defending the matters. If the RAF was doing the negotiation with the attorneys of the plaintiff, such that matters are settled without having to go to court. If the RAF was paying court orders on time, and therefore interest did not need to accumulate, if nobody needed to get to the point where there is a writ and there is a sheriff, Debrolio attorneys wouldn't get 653 million in total. They would get far less. Isn't that so? Because we've just gone through, we've defined each of the cost items. So we are trying to solve the problem now. And I walked Mr. Mvundlela through all of this here in my questioning. So I need you to opine on my assertion, therefore, that if these interest costs and writ costs and matters were negotiated without getting to the stairs of the court with a court date scheduled and then at the last minute pulled out, these law firms wouldn't get this kind of money. The matters would be settled before. Am I correct?
Chairperson, yes, you are correct, and I guess we'll also have to. Yes, you are correct. Yes. Secondly, I guess we'll also have to then get a breakdown in terms of what is the makeup of the plaintiff's attorney's legal costs and the other costs that you've talked about, to say what is the ratio. But of course, because you've included your disbursements, your interest, your sheriff and rent costs, then the number will increase. But by what percentage, I'm not sure.
No, that's fine. And what I've noticed, so you will note that there is another sheet at the back, this one, because I see that it's better to be an advocate than an attorney, because, man, it's nice there by advocates in terms of how much they get. So I just want us to, and members, you've also got this. I just want us to solve the problem here and leave speculations aside. So you've got this form, Ms. Khumalo, right? Yes. This one, okay, not the form there. So plaintiff legal costs. So the advocate, so 2015-16 to 2019-20, the advocate for the claimant was getting 3.4 billion, right? And then 2020 to 24-25, 3.6 billion, went up by 8% in that 5-year period, right? Then the attorneys for the claimant, this is from the Road Accident Fund, 10 billion, 2015-16, in that 5-year period, and then it went up 10% in the next 5-year period. Correspondent attorney, that's a job I want. Okay, so that went up 18%, right? Then you get to sheriff costs. You guys did well there. You brought that number right down. Well done. Rate costs went down 70%. But the point I'm making is, so the legal costs basically are still there, and then the interest has also come down by 16%. What I want to understand is 2020-21 to 2024-25, the costs for the RAF advocate agent used to be 1.4 billion. It's now 0, as I understand. The attorney agent, 9.9 billion, is now 0. Now it says rough legal costs under the new model have been insourced. I am battling with that. Does that mean that the Road Accident Fund has not hired counsel to defend its matters in court, given the capacity limitations of your panel of attorneys, of your state attorneys?
Person, we definitely have, and I've alluded to that.
Okay, so
At the agent, yeah.
So that wouldn't be accurate. I don't know why it's 0, because the impression we're being given is that the RAF has done, they've fallen by 100%. Can you see that on that form? It says advocate costs. Can you see that? It's fallen by 100%. It worries me in other ways too.
Apologies, Chair. I'm just asking around because I see it's got advocate and in bracket agent. Just to get clarity from my colleagues as well.
Okay.
But in terms of your question of saying, does it mean that draft does not hire senior counsel or does not use external legal services? We do.
Oh, you do. So basically, so that is not an accurate reflection of the state of affairs. Okay. Here's the thing. So, and I want us to be dispassionate about this. I also think that these law firms should not be getting that kind of money because it's avoidable. Because it's avoidable. And outside of us, engaging in conspiracy theories, what I'd really like us to get to, which is why I did a back and forth with Mr. Baloyi and Mr. Phillips here, was to say, tell us how many lawyers you need so that we can say in our report how many lawyers you should get. You get me, Ms. Khumalo? Not fighting, like I said. But this picture here says to me the outcome of that problem that Honorable Kubeka identified is this. And without solving the problem, we're never going to win. We can shout all we want on TV and podcasts. It's just never going to solve the problem. We need to actually capacitate the RAF properly to defend its matters when it needs to defend them, cut down on the punitive costs, cut down on the writ costs and all of these things, and make sure that as many of these matters as possible are sorted out between the attorneys without getting to court. Wouldn't that help?
Chairperson, you are correct. And that has been part of our drives to say, in terms of operations, can we then really look at beefing up operations, but the team that will be permanently responsible for doing settlements before then it gets to spill over to state attorneys to say, can we settle matters within 120 and have a team that really their job is to settle claims?
Yeah, no. I
agree with you.
We are on the same page.
Yes,
yeah, we're totally on the same page, right? I really wish going forward we will do much less on the sloganeering, all of us, and just solve this problem. Then, Ms. Manyasha, just a quick one. I just want to clarify something. You, at some point, appeared before the committee and were dealing with the issue of vetting of officials and so on. We have since received this document here, which has got, and please don't stress, I'll explain what it is. It's the vetting status, RAF senior management. It's got the titles there, Chief Corporate Support Officer, acting, I suppose that would be you, etc., right? And then it says the Chief Executive Officer, level top secret, status not submitted. I really just have one or two questions on this and then we'll be done. You know, I sat here in March of this year and we were having a discussion with the board about, it was either in October 16 or March this year, I cannot recall, but prior to the relationship becoming testy, that I asked the Chief Executive of the Road Accident Fund, have you been vetted? I don't know if you recall. And he said yes. He said yes, he has been vetted. So now when I see this, and we've got confirmation, independent confirmation, it's in the members bundle from the State Security Agency, it is consistent with this. I just need to know, what does not submitted mean? For somebody who's been vetted.
Chair, in the documents that I've sent yesterday, I have submitted a letter from the SSA. This is after the previous board. It's after the meeting that you are talking about, where the previous board also decided to go and seek clarity from SSA themselves. But in the meeting that you're talking about, Chair, in the same document that I'm going to talk to, I remember saying that I think the table that I gave at the time was saying that on the CEO, SSA is in the process of finalizing vetting. That's the status I think I had on that day. However, there's a slide that I had, and when I think you probed, when we were talking about the CEO was interviewed for vetting. And I came back to say, let me qualify that statement. He was interviewed, but not for his own vetting.
Yes. No, I recall that. I mean, the issue for me is, he said he's vetted.
Yes.
Is he?
He's not vetted.
Okay, that's all. Honestly, you've done your job. That's all I wanted to know. He lied to us here in the committee. That's all I needed to establish. So I just want to ask a couple more questions, and then we will go home. So I just need to get this right. So Ms. Manyasha, you were seconded. So when somebody is being seconded, there's no interview. It's a short-term thing, is to help out there, right? Your subsequent roles, were you interviewed? Because on secondment, then the secondment expires, and then, yeah.
Yes, Chair, I was definitely interviewed. There was a position advertised. I applied for the position.
No, don't stress. I believe you. I'm just asking, were you interviewed?
Definitely.
Okay. Who were you going to report to in the role, just to be certain?
To the CEO.
Okay. Who was on your interviewing panel?
If I can recall well, it was Mr. Patulu Kwareni. It was Mr. Ravesh Komal. It was Mr. Ian Bariel. For the first time. Chair, I was interviewed twice.
Why
so that
would
was
they
the
do
first,
that to you? But anyway, okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, RAF is an extreme sport.
Yeah, so the first time. So the CEO was not part of the interview panel in both instances.
Did you? Oh, he wasn't. Okay. Is that how it works? Oh, I mean, if I'm hiring, I want to interview the candidate. Even if there was a panel and then I subsequently, just to be sure, like that they haven't made a mistake. Isn't that how it normally works?
That's how it normally works. He recused himself from that panel. He delegated it to Mr. Patulu Kwareni.
Why? I mean, what was the conflict?
I don't know, Chair. My suspicion is that he...
No, let's leave it. You remember what I said about suspicions? Yeah, then I ask you a follow-up question. So you don't know. That your answer is you don't know. Okay. Ms. Khumalo, can I ask you the same? For your role, you were recruited at executive level. You didn't come in somewhere there in the woods like Ms. Manyasha. You were at executive level when you came in.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Let me, in order not to give you a hard time, did the chief executive interview you at some point?
He was part of the panel. It was chaired, and I think 2 or 3 board members as well, because executive appointments were appointed by the board.
Okay, you see, Ms. Manyasha, that's why I was asking. Okay, no. We'll have to, hopefully he comes here and then we will have to ask. I really would expect, if I'm hiring someone, I do want to make sure that is the person that I want, right? Notwithstanding. So I that's what I would. I just want to get to the Media Mix 36, in fact, to the Zinge contract. We've dealt with the procurement issue, with the invoicing and so on. I won't go there, right? So I just want to speak to both of you and just tell you what makes me nervous about these contracts on behalf of the RAF, right? So, and I'm asking both of you because, one, you had acting executive oversight over them, right? Because there is no chief corporate support officer. Ms. Khumalo, you signed. So typically, I've had a careful look at the bid evaluation documents all the way, right? And one of the things I became nervous about with Zinge is that their management fee was 3%. Everybody else was at like higher. And the industry benchmark is between 8 and 10%. So they came in at 3%. And I'm going somewhere with this. Did any of you notice that they came in very affordable? They're very aggressive in their pricing. Did you notice that? Or was there a discussion about that?
Chair, there was a discussion about this in the bid evaluation committee in terms of, I think, the management fees. I'm not 100% sure, Chair, because in the evaluation committee, which I was part of, we deal with functionality. I'm not sure if this part of functionality was there, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Let me assist you with more detail. So, Busintuli Communications got 80 points, Zinge got 70 points. What swung the thing in terms of the documents in Zinge's favor was the price. The price struck me as being, it's very aggressive. Because you need to hire an account manager, to have an account director, a senior account manager, creatives, project managers, traffic manager, all of these people, and you pay them salaries, right? And it's a decent contract. It's 100 million a year. It's R500 million. So they are entitled to that. So what typically happens is that the agency will then charge between 8 and 12%. I must say, Busintuli Communications were flying very far out, like at 12-15%. I would have knocked them down to a number that's reasonable. But anyway, these guys get it at 3%. It shocked me. Did you have an opinion on 3%?
Not at all, Chair. Bid evaluation committee does not get involved in the pricing bids because that is done separately by supply chain.
I mean in your capacity as the executive with oversight. As the manager.
Okay.
The managing executive.
No, Chair. I'm not an expert in corporate communication, so for me the 3%, I'm like, it's low. It looks okay.
Okay, so, and I want to move on from this. So I've done a few of these things, and by a few I mean over 20. When I see someone at 3%, two things. Either they don't know what they're doing or they're going to overcharge me, which is why I asked for the invoices. And then we saw those things that we were talking about. So this is why I keep asking about, did you check the pricing? Did you do all of these things? Because I know it, I've seen it. So what you want to do is you want to negotiate down the one who's closer, but maybe you don't like their price, right? You say, you can't do me 12%, I'll give you 9.5, no more, right? And if they agree, they are technically strong, and right, you get them down. But when you charge 3%, you get charged a golf shirt for 400 and some odd rand, and a water bottle for 85 rand, because they're trying to make up the shortfall. That is why, Ms. Manyasha, and I hope you get unsuspended at some point, it's important to investigate those invoices, right? They will never make it with 3%. They never will, right? It just won't. I'll leave it there, because I canvassed the issue with Mr. Polela, and that is the danger with just going with price. I just want to ask you a question about the function. Was there ever, and I will talk about a management ethical judgment, and that judgment will say the RAF is struggling to make ends meet. Mr. Phillips there needs more lawyers, etc. And can we really afford to have a function for 4 million at over 6,000 rand per head? Was there ever such a discussion that you are aware of, where we're like, come on guys, we can't blow 4 million in one night?
Discussions like that do happen, Chair.
I mean in this particular case, not this one.
On the awards, no, there was no discussion about not having awards. The only discussion we had is that let's reduce the number. Instead of having 6, let's combine and have 1.
No. Look, I mean, you know what? I love organizational development and employee engagement. I think you must do something for your employees. So I'm not fighting with that, right? I'm just questioning the amount. So was there ever a discussion where somebody said 6 million is a lot for one? Sorry, 4 million, 3.9 million is a lot for one night. We've got all of these problems here. We can't afford to pay claims. Come on, guys, let's keep it to 1 million. We'll give everybody a bun and it wouldn't even have to be that. You know what I mean?
No, Chair, there was no discussion about cutting the budget.
Did you go to that function?
Yes.
Were there any board members there?
Yes.
Oh, board members were there?
Yes.
And the execs were there?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, nobody asked how much all of this cost?
EXCO knows how much it cost because the memo to approve this went to EXCO. The board, no.
Okay, they didn't. Okay, no, we'll deal. You're not a board member. We will deal with them when they get here. I'm just concerned that they really wouldn't. They wouldn't raise a concern. And then I'll just come to, and then we're gonna leave. I'll just come to one or two matters. So, did you have to approve? So here's what I understand occurred from Mr. Polela, and I think Ms. Khumalo did touch on this. And I don't necessarily, there might be an issue, but so the Zinge contract gets signed in December, on the 8th of December. Well, they sign it on the 8th of December. It only gets to Ms. Khumalo's desk in February of the following year. We've cleared up that typo thing, so I'm no longer there. One of the allegations is that the Road Accident Fund paid for 400,000 posters of the festive campaign at a cost of between 8 and 10 million. Would you have knowledge of that? I mean, that size of invoice, would it come across your desk at some point or not? It seems like quite a hefty amount of money.
If it was a festive campaign for that year, it would be before my acting time. So I would not have seen.
Okay, so we'll have to find it. They've sent us all the invoices. There are just too many. Okay. Have you done anything with festive campaigns at all in your time? I mean, 400,000 posters, a lot of posters.
Yes, last year, because I was acting in the position, I would have approved the festive campaign. The festive campaign would have been approved by EXCO and I would have signed on it.
And it's you print up to 400,000 posters.
Chair, I don't get involved in the. I don't want to say little. My English is depleted.
No, I know bundles run out at this time. Mine are running out
into the finer details of what is going to be entailed. What gets presented to EXCO is the concept of the whole campaign. What is going to entail is going to entail posters. As to how many posters are going to be printed, I would not have known at the time.
Okay, last question relates to the Metro Awards. You guys sponsored the Metro Awards, did you? When I say you guys, I don't mean you, I mean corporately. We
partnered with Metro FM for the awards as a road safety partner for the 2024 Metro FM Awards.
Okay, so what does that entail at high level?
At a high level, it entails us doing activations in the week or 2 weeks before the Metro FM Awards, having adverts about road safety on Metro FM, buying space there, and also branding around the area where the awards are going to happen, and also getting branding at the event itself.
Okay, and that's negotiated. That's done through media. I'd imagine is that sort of, is it Media Mix or is it Zinge? With which of the two?
It was Zinge.
Zinge. Okay. I'm gonna ask a general question here. Did any of your suppliers pay for any of your expenses at that event? Consumables. Let's call them consumables. The kind of consumables you find at a Metro Awards.
Chair, there is an allegation that has been brought to the attention of the board, and that the service provider paid for consumables and accommodation.
No. I just want your answer. I mean, to your knowledge, did that sort of thing? The board must do its work. I don't care. I just want an answer from you. Is that allegation true or false?
Chair, to my knowledge, it is not true. It is true that the service provider gave RAF tickets as the partner to attend the events. So they gave the marketing team a bunch of tickets. I don't know how many.
And that would be Metro.
Yes.
And I mean that seems normal to me if you got a partnership.
Yes, as a partner, there's a number of tickets that they give to you as part of the partnership agreement. And also, to my knowledge, I was informed that the package that they gave included, I think, accommodation for about, I can't remember how many people, 3 or 4 people that were going to attend.
Offered by Metro.
Offered by Metro, I believe, I was told.
Okay, so this is not something you've got direct knowledge of. Okay, no. Then I'll release you from this, because if you don't have direct knowledge of it, then you can't really assist us. No, thank you very much. I think I've asked all the questions I would have wanted to ask you, Ms. Khumalo. We've dealt with the legal cost issues. I also want to bring them down. We've dealt with the issues of the checking of invoicing. We've dealt with the capacity of Mr. Phillips and his team and the ability to defend matters so that the RAF can reduce the cost per claim. And we reduce the punitive costs and all of these lovely things and the interest. I think we should consider that in our report. The last question for you, Ms. Khumalo, is when you arrived at the RAF and there had been this panel of attorneys thing, was there a project manager for that whole thing that you know of? Just the transition from a panel of attorneys to state attorneys.
I'm not sure, but I know, as I said previously, that Justice Mdluli was there, heading legal services. I'm not sure if he was the one responsible for this transition. I think so.
Okay, so you don't know basically.
Yeah, I stand under correction, but I think it was under his.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I would have expected there to be a project manager to avert these unknowables, which can be foreseen. Right. Okay. Honorable members, it's late.
Sorry, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chair. No, Chair, there was just something very interesting, because during the last questions, that some of the questions you kept saying the AG has said this, the AG has said that. The annual report for 2024-25, you still have an adverse opinion. So the impression that was given is that there is an improvement on with the AG, and basically you were saying is 85%, 85% from what, you know, I can look at it here with the graph. However, the area that I wanted to say is that if the AG is still giving an adverse opinion, that in itself is not good. There's still claims, you know, irregular expenditure. You're looking at claims liability, claims expenditure, and related disclosures. And this is in your annual report, a report on the material misstatements. So I didn't want us to leave thinking that there is an improvement in some areas. Yes, we can acknowledge that. However, the AG is still giving the opinion, which is in your annual report, that you still have an adverse opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just ask one last question? Does the Road Accident Fund have a service provider for flowers?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, so how much is that contract worth?
I forgot the amount, Chair. I know we dealt with it when we were providing the documents to.
Yeah, so the 1 year it was 330,000.
Yeah.
It then went up to just under 1 million for flowers. Where do those flowers go?
So, Chair, yeah. So when RAF has about 3,000 staff members. So when somebody has a bereavement, we buy flowers for them. When somebody is in hospital as part of the wellness program, we send them flowers in hospital.
Okay, so those are that's what they're for. They're not for a sparkling office when you arrive.
No.
I don't want to go there, Honorable Matt. It's late in the evening. I'll leave it. Yeah. Yes.
No, I just wanted to check something around the posters. You say the posters were 400,000
400,000 posters.
units.
400,000 units, yeah.
At how much?
Between 8 and 10 million.
That was very cheap.
Yeah, no. It's,
Considering how much a poster is.
you and I should know. You and I should. No, I'm not questioning. I mean, I'm just I'm trying to get a perspective on how many posters are appropriate for the RAF, because sometimes you don't see. Now that I've been dealing with RAF, I see it a lot more. Before, I never used to, and all I'm trying to get is a perspective on whether 400,000 posters is a number that you normally work with. But you said it's not something they have to deal with directly, so I won't burden you with it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
No, thanks, Chair. I think it would be a miscarriage of justice if I don't correct comments that were made in my absence about. No, Chair. I think, Chair, in summary, it's very important to note that calculating runs in an entity that operates at that scales of billions it's vitally important, especially for a precision on its financial health, and also it helps the organization itself to navigate the complexes of its financial landscape. And I just want to emphasize that I was speaking about 144 rand times 650 people in a 3.9 million invoice. So it was not just 44 rand. But in summary, Chair, I must say it's fascinating to observe how people are misquandering as revolutionaries while we find themselves counting conies of compromise, transforming the battle for the people into a game of hidden handshakes. I want, in summary, to quote my friend Buile Matiwane, the late Deputy President of SASCO, when he said, when people are twerking to defend the indefensible is a dance of shame, and when the conventions go up for sale, the highest bidder win the soul. We are aware that there are Brian Mukhotsi tendencies in MPs in these committees, but we are going to deal with them later. People while we are sleeping here fetching things at hotels. Thank you.
Oh, Honorable
Chair.
Honorable Maduna, I am concerned about about that part of your statement. So, about the part of your statement about people fetching things in hotels.
I withdraw,
and
Chair.
yeah, please. I don't think it's appropriate.
Chair, you know, some things you may laugh about. Last week I was not here. The same Honorable Madonna drew our president's name to this committee. He was not called into order. When he's not in front of this committee, he does not do business with RAF. He has nothing to do with RAF. And he was not called into order. He has a tendency of wanting to draw some popularity, which he's not going to get, by bringing things that don't feature here, that have nothing to do with this. And it must be called into order. So he's not going to get popularity through those things.
I'm not sure, Chair, whether I should call an order.
No, I am going to close the conversation.
Because I did not bring in the name of the leader of EFF. The name of leader of EFF was brought to this committee by Mr. Msiza, not me.
Okay, on that point of clarification, can we adjourn? Please. I am worried that we'll... can I just thank our witnesses? Mr. Letsoalo, I know there is some inconvenience with regards to your personal arrangements. I apologize, sir, but you've been of great assistance. And if we can assist in whatever way, please let us know. I'm terribly sorry. Ms. Khumalo, thank you so much for coming through. Ms. Manyasha, thank you so much for coming through. I cannot believe those two gentlemen actually came back. I wouldn't, but they came back. Thank you very much for coming back. And please have a safe trip home. Thanks.